Hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. Wonderful. Good. So there we are. And we are live on, I believe now, all platforms. I think it's LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Big Marker. Big Marker, for those of you tuning in, Big Marker is our platform where we host and take a majority of comments, people want reviews, and if you signed up for it or saw it on LinkedIn, you saw generally the Big Marker link. But if you're coming to one of the social media outlets that's promoting this as well, I'll put it in the chat right now. You can jump on Big Marker with us. I'll drop a link in both the live chats because this is where we predominantly focus on the Big Marker chat. And I see, hey Grace, hey Mar, Joe, how y'all doing today? And as we get started, I'm going to drop that in the. I'm going to drop that in to the social media outlets. Let me know where you're calling in from today. I know generally we call in from the West Coast, East Coast, different countries. It's always pretty exciting to see, but I always love to know kind of where y'all are coming in from. Awesome, we got some Megan in Phoenix, Tulsa, Chicago, Florida, Breckenridge, Colorado. Oh, I miss getting to go to Breckenridge. Haven't been in many years, and I think I need to go back. So let's get that going. All right, so there we go. That's working. Johnny, is everything working on your end? Are you ready to go?
I'm good to go, man. Everything looks good.
Awesome. There we go. See different countries right there. Toronto. We're up. Some Canadians. Uh, one
Sabo
of
would be
one of
happy.
our staff, Saba would be very happy. One of our staff members, Saba, is Canadian and loves to see a fellow Canadian attend our stuff.
Also from Ontario.
Yes, awesome. All right, so thank you all for coming. Today we've got some different stuff planned for you. We've got a little bit of live review. We've got a little bit of an AMA. We kind of mixed the two because we knew some people from the last webinar were looking and wanting some reviews. At the same time, the last thing that came out of the last webinar too is also a request for a webinar that we're trying to plan for next week for right before Christmas. We might end up doing it after Christmas, but we're also planning another webinar for coding process and getting better at the fundamentals that you get asked in every interview so that you can not only get better at the fundamentals of coding, but you can get better at those interviews that, well, typically we struggle at times. It's hard, but that's what we're planning to do. And in this one, we're going to mix up a little bit of that live review with AMA. So let's do this. Let me share my screen, get this stuff up. Oh, I see some Vermont. Nice. All right. Let's see this here. Share screen. All right. There we go. All right. We are live on both with sharing the screen. So for today, nice little imagery, but we're gonna actually use this to go on the next screen. So Johnny, would you kick off first and tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I kind of started my professional career in the United States Marine Corps. I'm a veteran, served for several years. From there, actually, kind of while I was in, I finished my bachelor's degree in linguistics. Utilizing that degree, I started teaching K through 12 education. Given my military background and physical fitness being a piece of that, I was also requested to be the athletic director for the school. And so I did K through 12 education as well as some administration stuff with the athletic department there. From there, I really, really wanted to utilize my skill set and honestly, just to get paid. uh, Life is expensive, and being an educator doesn't exactly always pay extremely well. I absolutely loved the work that I did, but I wanted to be able to grow my family and continue to go through life and stop the vicious cycle of always renting. And so from there, I joined the Thinkful Full Stack Bootcamp, and I went through that, and that's where I ended up meeting Mr. Jason Humphrey over here. And I graduated from there and really, really struggled in finding my job. I loved the education. I loved the mentors. Jason was one of them. He wasn't mine, but he quickly became mine after I finished the Thinkful program just because he made himself so available. And so that's why I call myself a former struggling bootcamp grad. Jason helped me a lot. I was in the boot camp or the job search for 6 months before I started to see a pattern of something needs to change. And so I reached out to Jason, and he massively turned things around in a matter of weeks. And yeah, just taking all that experience of struggling and really wanting to make something work, but not being able to, ended up asking Jason for a job if he wanted to do this with more people and see more of an impact on the industry. And he's like, let's do it, man. And that was 3 years ago. And yeah, that's why we're here.
That did. Time flies. Time flies. Thank you, Johnny. And
Thank
we'll
you.
be diving in more. We're gonna bounce back and forth doing reviews today live. Quick update on who am I for those who don't know and just stopping in for the first time seeing who I am. My name is Jason Humphrey. Recently, actually, just promoted to director of software engineering at a company I cannot name, but you can go look at my LinkedIn if you're interested. I am known for, because earlier in my career I was able to get 3 promotions in 3 years to all the way go from associate to senior software engineer. Over the last 2 years, done over 1,000 interviews, reviewed over 2,500 resumes, 1,000 LinkedIn profiles in the last year, and mentored over 1,000 boot camp grads to get jobs in the last 7 years alone. So there's a little bit of my background. I guess you could say this is what I do, just a little bit. But that's a bit about me and Johnny. And so I want us to talk about real quickly before we get in, because we have split 25 minutes for AMA, 25 minutes for review. We'll do review first. But what is Coding Career Fastlane? Coding Career Fastlane is something I built earlier. Well, the concept started earlier in my career when I learned how to get those 3 promotions in 3 years. That's kind of where Coding Career Fastlane comes from. Is it was the fast lane of my career, and I learned from 3 or 4 different mentors on exactly how to do that. And that was something I wanted to help people with. What I learned as I started the company actually was people don't actually care necessarily that you get in the fast lane. They just want to get in to start. They don't care about the middle. They care, well, they will in the end, but they care a lot about the start. And so what I found out was, okay, I really got to take the skills and the industry knowledge I have and really help people get into their careers first and foremost, and then help them progress through it at a faster pace than most. Now, Coding Career Fastlane, we get to do what we do because of the Accelerated Job Hunt. It is our program. It is how we help people get jobs extremely fast. I'm not here to sell you this. I'm actually here to give this actually away to someone today. But this is how we help people. There is a ton of stuff we do. The job hunt process is extremely difficult. But what I want to point out as we get started, if you're interested and need help, don't be afraid to call us. At the same time, ask all your questions today. We'll answer everything. But I want to point out that with our program, we help people get jobs in 3 to 4 months. And especially with January coming up, as you see here on the screen, Jobuary, true equals true. This is going to be in the next 4 to 6 weeks, the market will go back up for entry-level talent. And knowing that, we started opening up we've opened up again student applications for the Accelerated Job Hunt. But we want to empower someone in our community this holiday season and give them the program for free on our behalf, because this person has been in the community. This person, Grace, I love that. I volunteer as tribute. This person has been in the community. This person has done everything we ever asked. This person has come to a majority of all the webinars. This person has been active with us on LinkedIn and always done what we've asked, and always been super, super, just a great person to talk to, and someone that's always engaged and enthusiastic with what we do, and has a family. And, this is important to them to get that entry level job. And Amar, I know you're here, but Amar, this is for you, man. We believe in you so much. We're going to give you the Accelerated Job Hunt. And so after today's session, I know you got to leave about halfway through, Amar, but we want you to reach back out to Johnny or myself on LinkedIn, and we want to have you join. We'll cover all the costs, and we want you to get that job in the new year, and we want to be able to help you get there as fast as you possibly can. So after this, I know you're here. I know you're around tomorrow. I appreciate you coming. I know I was talking to you earlier. we love everything you stand for, man. You're an amazing person, and we're excited to get to work with you. And so, to everybody else, like, it's a testament of, like, good things happen to good people, and we want to help Amar get there. And if you need help in this holiday season, if you need help and you've got questions, don't hesitate to reach out. In that Notion page that had all the downloads, there's a link to checking out the Accelerated Job Hunt, checking out exactly how we help people. And if Amar is okay with it and y'all are interested, we can do some collaborations, some posts, some updates to show you exactly how we're progressing with Amar. If you're okay with that going forward in the future, that's something I bet some people would love to see. And I think it'd just be a testament to your work ethic and what you get done. And so I want to leave that there. Amar, thank you very much. I want to kick this off now to the reviews. We'll be in touch. I have, and I'm actually going to share screens. Oh, you're welcome, Mark. You're absolutely welcome, man. You're very deserving. And so I'm going to switch screens real quickly and start with some reviews. And as we start with some reviews, let me get back to sharing my screen on Big Marker. We're going to start with reviews first. We are going to get started, and I'm going to kick it off with Dante. Now, I don't know if Dante is, let me check. Dante, I do not see Dante, but Dante will probably watch this back. And so we'll jump right on into this. I'm going to put a timer on for myself. Thank you, Johnny, for the trick of Google Timer. I actually never use it,
Game changer.
but I am now. So, all right, let's kick this off right here. So we're going to review resume, LinkedIn, and GitHub. We're going to do it under 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Take notes because I'm going to point out lots of different things. And Johnny is going to point out a lot of different things. And we're going to try to point out different things between each resume. We'll go from there. Actually, with my Google Timer, I set it to too long, 2 minutes.
Do the stopwatch, otherwise it will yell at you incessantly and you'll never know what tab it's in.
All right, got it. Stopwatch it is. All right, let's do this. So here we are. I'm on Dante's resume. So first things first, when I look at this resume, I'm a big believer in summaries. I like summaries. I think they're great. But here's one point I want to point out very quickly when I'm reviewing this as a hiring manager. Okay, so I'm energetic. I'm a trend-minded software engineer who loves conducive solutions, thrive in implementing logic, problem solver, improving efficiency, highly maintainable code. I enter the industry with a strong drive for personal best practices, self-growth, upbeat personality. And there's a reason why I'm counting on my fingers. There's about 10 different things that I was just sold. Like, that I'm efficient. I maintain code. Like, there's a lot of things sold, but I see no proof. I would love for maybe a sentence in here or two. I don't think I do have right to edit. I would love some proof in here, like 2 to 3 sentences of proof of, like, okay, so I tell you I love, I tell you I'm a lifelong learner. I'm an educator. Great. Did you go to a boot camp? Did you spend 1,000 hours there and learn 3 main languages? Did you learn? So I want some proof. And about what I love to do is I like to start a summary with the ability to, and I'm really honing in on this a little bit longer than I will in other ones, so that y'all get where I'm coming from. I like a sentence that opens up and tells me at least 3 things about you. The next 2 to 3 sentences are proving out what you just sold me, and then hit them with a career objective of what you want to do next. And in this about 5 sentences or so summary, you have the ability to sell somebody exactly what you want to stand for. So let me keep scrolling down. A couple other things I want to point out that as I see this here, focus on, well, actually right here, just listing off skills is not as beneficial. I want bullet points, and I want it to follow the XYZ formula, XYZ bullet point. This is in the Notion page. I have it linked there too. I can drop a link in the chat here in a minute. But this is a really good article on a simple XYZ formula. Accomplish X, measure by Y, by doing Z. When I look at this here, like, just listing off the skills is not going to drive us enough value. And just saying you design HTTP server, that's not enough. We want to drive the value. We want to show somebody exactly what we accomplished, how it's measurable, and the actions we took to get there, because it allows the hiring manager to understand where we're coming from, and exactly not only where we're coming from, but the value that we can drive to them. All right, so going down, see this, I would love a little bit more depth on Thinkful. I'm going to go over by like 10 more seconds, Johnny. I will do my best to keep this 2:30. I realized for this first one, I focused on the summary so that I don't have to talk about summaries again. Johnny will be able to probably point out summaries as well. All right, so let's look at this tidbit for y'all. Headlines, give the job title you want and about 5 skills in it that are your top skills. You can always go search your skills by simply going and understanding, what is React JS my number one skill. You can actually see, there's 112,000 jobs. Is Node.js my top skill? 200,000 jobs. You can start to look analytically at the data. And so what I'm noticing right off the bat is just one title is not enough. We want the skills. We want them at least 6 different sections. Your top 5 skills on LinkedIn, we want them in your about section. We want it in your activity. We want it in your experiences. Right now, I only see JavaScript here. I didn't see, I guess there's one there. I just didn't notice as I scroll on down. So we're in 2 sections right now. I want in 6 sections, and 2 experiences does not count. It's just the experience section. And you've got to have your top skills in place. And I'm going to leave this here, and we're going to move on. The last thing I'll say actually right here as we're moving on is add a personal Readme page. Dante, it goes a long way, and you get a chance to sell exactly what you want to the audience, which are hiring managers. I'll stop sharing my screen. We're going to keep moving forward, Johnny. I'll hit stop share. Johnny, take it over, and I'll prepare for my next person.
And I'll share on big marker. You should be able to see that. Sharing your screen. Cool. So, Grace, I'm going to start with you, and I'm going to start with your resume. Overall, when it comes to having a fear of a lack of experience or thinking that the root of your problem is a lack of experience, so let me start my timer, otherwise I'm going to screw myself over. That's really where you want to start is your resume. Your resume is the only thing that somebody will have a chance to see first, up front and foremost, when you submit your job application, because that's really what you're submitting is your resume. And so an easy way to really instill that confidence in the reader up front is by having a powerful summary. Jason was talking about XYZ statements, talking about language libraries, frameworks, databases, etc., that you can throw into your summary. The biggest thing for your resume, besides its layout, is its foundation in market data. If you are in a specific area and you want a specific job title, you can do something called a market analysis to pick out exactly what companies in your area are looking for. And an easy way of understanding that is if you are looking for a software engineering position, and I know you're doing something more along augmented reality, virtual reality, game development type stuff, look for those specific jobs in a specific area and see what that market has as requirements. If the market says that you need skills X, Y, and Z, and you have skills A, B, and C, well, now you know why things haven't been working if you submit an application and you don't get an interview. Having that fundamental disconnect can really put a damper in your overall application to interview ratio. If you do find that you have skills A, B, and C, and your market is actively buying X or A, B, and C, well, now you have a good foundation of what you need to continue doing and continue talking about. And I'm not talking about just one place. Jason mentioned 6 times just in your LinkedIn profile, and you can do even more on your resume. I'm also thinking more along the lines of soft skills as a blend with hard skills. So not just I'm a communicator, team player, problem solver, but through my experience in my as a Oculus VR brand ambassador, communicated with X number of people, shared this with X number of people as an audience, really trying to tie quantifiable data and giving me a metric with which to gauge your skill. Having experience listed there is great, but giving me the understanding of how it all fits together up front in your summary. I'm talking about this to you. I'm at 2 minutes and 20 seconds, but I guarantee you that somebody will only spend 15 to 30 seconds on your resume. And so that's why starting with that summary is so important. Moving on from there quickly, directly beneath that summary, that's where these skills should be. Because if you say you can do all these things and you have this historical provenness of driving value in your professional experiences, Now you can just simply follow the flow of your resume page and say, okay, I see these things. She has all this experience and this value that she's been driven for many, many years. And now I see these new skills that she's trying to apply in this way. So that's really your instant digest on your resume, your LinkedIn profile. I know I'm already going over as well, so I'll keep this brief. Think of your LinkedIn profile like you're making a cup of coffee. You can either make a strong cup of coffee by adding less water or adding more coffee. And so when it comes to the basic distillation of how search engines work, if you're looking for a strong cup of coffee, you need to have a high amount of coffee and a low amount of water. And so when we get to your profile, your summary, your about me can be identical to the one that you have in your resume. It can really just instill confidence to say, hey, if this is the only thing you read about me, this is all you really need to know. From there, looking at your experience, if this isn't directly contributing towards that historical narrative of driving value and highlighting the best parts of you, it's really just watering down your cup of coffee. I'm not saying delete all your individual experiences so people don't think you've done any work for the last however long you've been in these positions, but I'm saying get rid of all this content, because the more words are there, the greater the disparity between what search engines are specifically looking for and what they'll find. So if you think of a raw number of characters, like 1,000 words on your profile, if 800 of them are not for code, not for tech, you need to change that. So it would be 800 for code and 200 not for code. So then you have supporting statements from previous experiences as your 200, but your main highlight, your main focus, your main value is from your technical experience in what your market shows is something that you need to continue talking about. That's kind of all I've got. And I'm sorry I went super over.
No, you're good. It's interesting.
I knew this was going to happen. I knew this.
We told ourselves we're going to do this for an hour, and we're going to do 10 people. We all do 2.5 minutes for each, and we can get to more people. And here we are. Here we are, knowing that we could easily go over, and we're going over. But I actually want to, because I want to share one other thing on top. I want to share two things on top of that. So before I start my timer, Johnny, before I start it, I think Grace, I know there's not a lot of comments or not a lot of questions like, does that, for one, are we making sense, Grace? But there's two things I want to answer in here that you probably heard and went, okay, that sounds great, but how do I actually do something about it? Actionable steps to what Johnny was saying. If he had more time, I'm sure he would have covered this. First, when Johnny talks about the data and the cup of coffee, you can understand your data if you go to your profile and go to your dashboard. Trust me, don't look at my numbers like, oh, I want to get up there. It's not about that. It's more of you come in here and you look at your weekly search stats, and you can come look at exactly, first off, who's searching for you, what type of searchers are you attracting, and then what are the keywords they're using to attract you. And you'll find that this is a really good spot, Grace, to understand of, wow, I'm using the right verbiage or I'm not, and I'm either transitioning, like I'm using too much of another language and too much of something, too much code or not enough code. What I find is, and this is why Johnny says this, what we've seen time and time and time again, as much as the older experience is great, what we find on something like LinkedIn, it's not great because LinkedIn sources it and then tries to optimize it and make you searchable for other industries that you don't necessarily want. And this is the best place to validate it right here. Hopefully I'm making sense on that. The other thing that Johnny was bringing up about the job market analysis, like I was saying, it's here. We have it in the December AMA. We put a bunch of resources here that we'll probably refer throughout the rest of this. But real quickly, it is your job market analysis is 10 jobs you want most. They're analytically sourced so that you know the top 5 hard skills and soft skills. And you can look at this from a number perspective and then make determinations on what you need to do. So these are two ways, Grace. Hopefully I'm making more sense to add some more depth to Johnny's points. And because this way, I think this will help us go through everyone else. So when we say job market analysis, when we say looking at data, when we say these things, it's like, oh, I can go to my dashboard data. Oh, I can do a job market analysis. Some of these things become second nature as we're talking about them. I'm going to get to Moses' question in a second, but let me know, am I making sense? Any questions based on that? And Johnny, did I miss anything between the two pieces of data for us before I go into Justin?
Nope, I think you're good, man.
What does it say? How do you distill verbiage to coding related content when transitioning careers and don't have any coding experience yet? Moses, I'm going to save that one. If you can, save that one for the AMA. Johnny and I will keep trying to get through this and make sure we get through people
Moses, you're
and
also
keep
on my
going.
list to review, so I'll get to your whole stuff in a sec.
Perfect. All right. So y'all can still see my screen, and I'm hoping on Restream. Yep.
You're good to go.
Restreams all the. Yep. So we have Justin here. Wonderful. Justin, so jumping right on in. Let me start my timer. I got 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm going to hit this one. I'm going to hit 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Justin, I need more depth. When I first look at yours, I want more. So I understand you've been doing projects. I understand you with Zero to Mastery Code or Mastery Academy. Great. Why does this experience matter? Why should I, as a hiring manager, care? At the same time, great, you were a developer at Slipstream Racing. How long? What for? Like right now, there's no date, so I'm like a little weary of when and where and how. And just saying you optimize SEO, that's not enough. When we go back to the XYZ formula, accomplish X, measure by Y by doing Z, great. So you've accomplished optimizing SEO. Okay, how can we measure that? Did you get 100,000 more users in? Did it make $100,000? At the same time, what actions did you take to optimize so that I, as a hiring manager, will know potentially exactly what I am looking at, like, or what am I hiring potentially in you of what can you do for me that you did for them? I would love a little more depth on your projects. When I look at projects, I want generally around 5 bullet points, and each bullet point per project is based on your top 5 hard skills out of your job market analysis. So there should be a bullet point with an XYZ on maybe React, a bullet point on Postgres, a bullet point on Node. Like have these. This is how you show the depth of knowledge and help someone put their mind at ease when they're reading this of what you can deliver to them. Now, when I go over to your LinkedIn, let's see here. Full stack developer, React, Postgres, Mongo, great. Something else for y'all is to double check the spellings. So when you do this, double check what spellings are best. And what I mean is literally see here, 32,000 jobs, but watch what happens if I just take out the dot. 203,000. It's wild how LinkedIn is as much as we are in a space of technology owns everything. Uh, LinkedIn's behind the times. So how you say and spell things actually matters on this platform. And then give me an about you. I get writing is not always the easiest thing to do, and writing summaries about yourself is tough. But I need more here. And this is where this is fine because this would all detract from what you did. But this is where then maybe the Zero to Mastery Academy, I could use some more. And then there's a project section, and I don't see it here. You can actually add your projects onto LinkedIn, and I've got 5 seconds left. I did take a look at this earlier. Pretty slick looking, pretty good. The real question is though, what does your GitHub look like? The Readme, love it. All right, Johnny, the floor is all yours. I'll shift. I will turn mine off, turn yours on. Big marker, stop sharing. There you go.
Let's see here. Can you see me on big marker?
Yes, I can.
My screen, yeah?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. All right, Tiffany. Your resume is really, really good. I love your overall flow. There are some things that I think you should change, so I'll just focus on those. You are no longer in health administration, so that's going to be more of a theme for your LinkedIn than it is for your resume. I just want you to be cautiously aware of how you're representing yourself on paper, because your LinkedIn is very, very one-sided. So this here in this way is okay. But when you get into this an innate ability to identify and solve complex problems using critical thinking and analytical skills, don't just say that, tell me, like show me. Give me an example of how you'd use those innate abilities to solve complex problems in your health administration career. Because now, if I read a situation in which you've showed that in your health career, I just read that you have 6 years of experience doing this. And that really builds my confidence in your ability to actually have those skills. Next, your technical skills need to come up from the bottom and go directly underneath your summary. Your skills are going to be the things that largely people care about. There's sort of a spectrum of recruiters that you'll run into. Most typically you'll run into somebody that's non-technical and fairly lazy. And so when you have a comprehensive summary that doesn't necessarily go extremely in technical depth, but you have those technical skills listed right there already in these beautiful categories of, I would change these front end and back ends. But I love the fact that you have so much testing experience that'll set you leagues apart from your peers. Break these down into languages, libraries, frameworks, and databases. Don't just leave it as front end or back end. Those keywords that are utilized in job descriptions will also be worded the same way. So when it comes to continuing to beat the application tracking system at its own game, you can now beat it by utilizing that verbiage. Your app descriptions. I think you have far too many projects on this resume, and I think you need to pare them down. If you would not present this to somebody that you really respect, or somebody that has the exact job that you want, I don't think a vanilla JavaScript Harry Potter app would make that cut. I know that most of the things that you probably worked on so far have been from bootcamp. You can still reference the things that you've worked in at bootcamp, and they can be very good projects, but just don't think of them as bootcamp projects. When you were in high school, that was all you knew. But when you got to college, you never wanted to reference high school because you're in college now. And that's kind of the way that this is going to go on your job hunt as well. You are no longer a bootcamp student. Only show the best. And you can further hone in on what to show specifically by doing that same market analysis and seeing exactly what companies are buying. Because a good salesman can sell water to a fish, but doesn't it make so much more sense to sell water to somebody that's thirsty, that's standing right behind the fish? So sell people what you know they're actively buying, and you know what they're actively buying by analyzing the market. So let me give you a quick rundown of your LinkedIn. I'm already 30 seconds over. This is horrible. We should have done 5 minutes per. EMT, assistant one, hairstylist, administrative support, and then general assembly. Your cup of coffee is extremely weak, and I don't think that you want it to be. So when it comes to healthcare administrator, cosmetologist, pick one and search that out. So when it comes to you trying to be a software engineer, it doesn't mean that you can't pivot and have a health administrator or a cosmetologist like side hustle. But when it comes to this industry, you have to be all in. You have to really make sure that you are discoverable, that you instill confidence, and you showcase the best of your abilities. And so you need to get rid of all the extra water because you already have a lot of good coffee already here. You're talking about your projects, you're referencing their tech stack. So these languages, libraries, frameworks, et cetera, are showing up in a lot of places, but it's getting massively drowned out by all this that's non-tech. And yeah, I'll cut it there.
All right, so I'll share my screen and bring it back, and then restream, switch it, and if you could, Sam. This is where I'm saying I'm going to say Sam because I don't. Can you help me? I am not good at pronouncing names, nor do I want to butcher your name live. And I'm just terrible at English at times. Help me say your name properly, and I will gladly try it. Yes. So I'm just going to go with Sam for right now. I see you're here, so let me know how to phonetically say it, and I will gladly say it. Let me start my timer, and let's jump on into this. And next time, Johnny, I'm thinking about this. We'll just stick to 5 minutes and less people because I know we picked out 10. We're going to do 10. But, yeah. We got this. All right. So first off, what I'm seeing right off the bat is from what I talked about earlier with summaries, I want a little more depth. So you tell me your front end. Okay. Actually, this is another tidbit for everybody here. Your title that you want most, search it. Come back here and physically search that title out. We're going to go to the jobs tab and we're going to search this. This title that you want, there's only one role in the United States titled this. Now, if we take off just this and just put junior front end, you'll start to see we get more. And as we change stuff, you will get more roles. And that didn't work. But if we just go front end engineer, now we've got 24,000. What you call yourself matters in your profile. Let me get back to this. That's an easy way to get more data that we're talking about. Okay, so you tell me you're skilled in these. Great. Where did you learn it from? Gain effective organizational management skills or fuse of professional work. Great. With your professional work, what did you do? Did you do something impactful? It seems like a vaguer statement that isn't going towards coding necessarily. So I would want to know, and as it is, I'm looking down here. I know Worcester. This is not or Worcester. You did. I know you did a coding boot camp. So like, I think an easy way to prove out these skills is you went to a boot camp for 6 months, spent 1,000 hours, and learned three main skills. I think that's an easy way to prove. But you've been doing an internship. I want to see more here. I want to know more about the internship because I've got to imagine you probably touched some front end code. I imagine they had you do a little bit of testing. I imagine they made you be mobile responsive. There's some accessibility in here. I have to feel there's at least 4 to 5 bullet points we can use to sell. Since this is the only thing you have to sell, we need to sell it to the best of our abilities and add a little more depth in there. And this is where your space on the right hand side isn't doing you any justice. I'd much rather you reorganize this and take out the whole width so you can add more depth to your sentences. When you read that X, Y, and Z article, you'll see what I mean on how you can add the depth with what you accomplished, how to measure it, and the actions you took to get there. And as it is, like with this education, I want you to. This is not for everybody. Not all boot camps or certifications believe in this, but I do because I've seen it work time and time again. Tell me why I should give a damn about this. Give me 3 sentences about what this boot camp taught you that is impactful that someone reading this should know. Because if you learn from senior engineers, if you learn the top skills in the industry, if you did a project with 5 other people and you did like you actually collaborate on something with a lot of people, much to simulate a job, there's some important things in there that you can say and do. I'm over right now. Dang. I'll hurry this up. Let me get back to LinkedIn. Get back here real quickly. All right. So you also notice here, we've got to stay consistent. You notice what I searched a second ago was junior front end web engineer, but now you call yourself React front end dash software engineer. So we have to figure out what is the exact title you want. And don't put 2 titles in the headline, just put 1 and then about 5 skills. And make sure that you keep consistent. What I find is React and Node with the JS or the dot, they're actually pretty consistent. If it's the dot that works better sometimes or no dot. And so continuing on down, I need more depth here. This is where you are searchable, and this isn't extremely searchable. I want a picture for your portfolio. I need some more engagement and interaction. There's not a whole lot of activity, it says. With activity and engagement, LinkedIn will naturally reward or organically reward you by giving you more leads to recruiters, having more people reach out and recommending you to more roles. I would love to see your projects here. Like right here, you see these languages, but in your accomplishments, there's actually a project section. There's more that we can do here. And then in the portfolio, I would like to see some demo links and like easily get to the demos to see these. And then, yeah, I'll leave it there. I'm over. Johnny, the floor is all yours. I'll switch. And I'll hit stop screen sharing.
All right, I'm gonna double up on my screen here, so hopefully this will take half the time. Let's start with LinkedIn this time. The order of things matter. Just like the user interface, the user experience that you want somebody to have with your project, your portfolio, with the website that you're developing or whatever product you're working on with the team. It's the same with your resume. It's the same with your profile. And we've talked, or specifically I have talked about how you want things in a specific order. Your resume lacks a summary. You desperately need a summary. So put that at the very top. Your technical skills here are great. I love that you broke things down. If you could add more testing, I see Selenium here, but let's go find out what your industry, the market in your area is looking for. Whether that be Jest or Mocha or Chai or something like that, really will set you apart with other bootcamp grads. I ran a poll on Jason's LinkedIn several months ago asking how much experience boot campers were self-taught were having in testing. And the 94% of people responded with 5 days or less. So if you can give me more than 5 days and show me that you have experience doing the thing, then that's all that really matters. That's why boot camps exist, is they teach you how to do the thing. You got to prove that you can do the thing. Your projects, Hangman, Movie Lounge. I already don't like these because I know that I've seen these before. And the reason why I don't like them because I've seen them before is because it speaks to me that you follow tutorials. I can find these repositories online. So make me really care about the things that you do and the passions that you have. So solve your own problem, create your own app, just do something, create your own spin on these already existing things and make me care about it. When it comes to your professional experience, these things may be great, but these things can go in your summary and just be left as individual lines. And that's how you can continue to utilize your space properly. Don't fear the one-page resume, but make sure that your multi-page resume is warranted. If you don't have 10 years of experience that you're trying to showcase, then one page is probably all you need. But don't fear the 2-page. But you can get rid of some of these, talk these out more. Definitely throw in exactly what you learned at Flatiron, because you're talking about the thing. You're instilling confidence. If I notice that you learned A, B, and C from Flatiron, and I go and I look up here and I see, D, E, X, Y, Z. Now I know that, Flatiron taught you how to learn, and you have continued to learn on your own. And then I can scroll down, and if you have a project built with something like that, then I'd be like, okay, well, he's really internalized that knowledge and he wants to make meaningful gains with it. Your portfolio, or excuse me, your LinkedIn here, this is great. And I haven't talked about this yet with other people that I reviewed tonight, but the featured section is massive. What I would prefer, if I could dictate how everybody's LinkedIn is laid out, if you are searching for a job, resume will be first, portfolio will be second, GitHub will be third. That way, when I scroll down to your profile, if this was a full screen window, I'd be able to see all three things. The thing that I really care about the most is the resume. The second thing that I may care about, if I'm technically gifted and proactive and I want to see what it is that you do, that portfolio is important. Last thing that I'll do here is I opened up an incognito window in Google Chrome, and this is Jacob's portfolio site. Just a really simple way to check how your code is performing is by right-click, inspect, Google Lighthouse, hit desktop or mobile. Mobile if you want to be sad, desktop if you want to be less sad. That's usually how things go.
Yeah.
And now within
Yes.
within 15, 20 seconds here, you have a full comprehensive 20-page audit if you would go to print this out. So if I went to go print summary, this is only 5 pages, but it's only a single page. So if you have a multi-page app or anything like that, you can see performance, accessibility, SEO. It looks like this is performing very well. Accessibility, I'm not super worried about because that's a lot of just like easy meta tag changes in the HTML. And SEO is the exact same way. So this shows me that this was built really well. Like there's no extra code, there's no waste, there's no redundancies. And that's what you can do on an individual project by project basis just to validate everybody the stuff that you already have. And that was 4.5 minutes. I'm sorry, but
That's
I'm done.
okay. Jacob, good job there. Most people we hardly ever see get 100, hundreds at all.
I do this for a living, and I work a lot, and I think I've maybe seen 3 or 4 100s. Like, straight up. This is really well done.
Does it? Oh, it does force overload. All right. I'll jump right on into this. So for those who are watching on other platforms, because I see we have some, if you want some of these, like if you want the Notion page or some of the the recording after this, if you go to codingcareerfastlane.com/December-live-AMA-2021, you can put your information in here and it'll send you an email with everything. But majority of the people on Big Marker right now, you do not need this. This is for some of the other social platforms we're on right now. So I'm going to jump right on into Nicholas. Let me hit my timer. Nicholas, all right off the bat. So right off the bat, we are looking at, I do like the background. I haven't talked about this enough. Background images are it's real estate to sell you. You could even maybe add in a couple keywords in there that you want people to see and know right off the bat. Be careful about how you write with SQL because this is not technically search engine optimized because you've paired it with a slash and a W. It won't work as well for you. So just put SQL, Python, add 3 more junior data scientists, and or junior data engineering. That's fine. When I come down below, uh, I love the pictures. I love that we have a case study, stuff for people to click on right away. And as I scroll down, actually, I did not. I actually want to spend more of my time over here before I go back over there. Um, Resume. I believe this is actually downloaded straight from LinkedIn, so LinkedIn doesn't always format it. So I won't pick on the formatting or do anything with that because I believe it was downloaded right from there. I'll purely focus on content for the moment. When I look at your summary, this kind of goes this similar approach I've talked with the other ones, right? So you're a data geek, demonstrated the history, working in applied linguistics field, transitioning to data field. I constantly have a passion, roll up my sleeves, and can-do attitude. So far, nothing technical. Everything right now is like feel-good stuff, but feel-good doesn't get you a call. And then I'm into the whole process of gathering, processing data, sources, help companies improve quality. So this is what I would call a feel-good summary. It feels good, but it doesn't drive value. It doesn't talk about the technical skills you want to sell me. It doesn't prove the technical skills you want to sell me. It's just kind of there, and it's not driving you a ton of value and results. Continuing on down. All right, so in data engineering experience, data camp, you learn to build effective architecture, streamline data processes through hands-on experience with these things. Great. Do we have some links? Do we have some projects? Can we break out a project section? Now, I get with a LinkedIn download, I don't think you could be able to. Like, I want a project section. I want to see some of the projects you worked on. I want links. I want to understand so I can go through it. I've told this before. We got to talk about how kick-ass Thinkful was. Why was it so good and helpful to you? And why does someone reading this need to care about it as we go through it? I would not be submitting this as your resume if this is what you're doing, mainly because the formatting is a little off to what people are used to. They get it okay enough, but you're not going to be able to easily add a project section. You're not going to be able to easily add more about Thinkful. It's going to be a little bit difficult. Now, coming back to over here, I don't have easy access to your GitHub. You know, if I want this, I got to click on there's the PowerPoint. Okay, there's a Google Docs. Do I have access to your GitHub? Where are these projects at? I want more proof and I want the projects. At the same time, the skills. Are these your top skills? You know, SQL and Python are good, but is this really, this does match your headline, which I'm happy for, but is Snowflake really what you want? Is there a better skill? Those probably are going to be your top two ones, SQL and Python. But I asked the question because if we're not 100% positive, does that mean we know our data or have we looked at it? So there's some changes here, predominantly all around the content for you. And oh, yes, this was the one other thing I wanted to say earlier. This goes back to the skills inside of LinkedIn in your 6 areas, your top 5 skills in 6 different areas. In your header, in your about is an easy win. I need it in your 6 sections because, like in this summary section, there are no skills mentioned at all. Johnny, the floor is all yours.
Nicely done. Okay. Mr. Moses. So I'm so glad that you have a resume like this because it gives me the opportunity to say that I really dislike resumes that have this format. Not to say that
Personal opinion.
No, not personal opinion. The reason why that you need to change this is people are very, very lazy, like exceptionally lazy. We're talking about a real human being putting their heart and soul on a page, submitting that and saying, please hire me to do this meaningful work. People are lazy and say, you know what, that's only worth 15 seconds of my time. And that's just the state of how things are. The way that you can combat that is that you can put your format in a top-down format, like all the other resumes that we've seen tonight so far that I've noticed, or at least that I've reviewed. I'm working on my notes while Jason's doing his, but taking these things and restructuring them in a way where it has your summary at the top, followed by your skills, followed by your projects or experience or education. It doesn't really matter too much at that point. But by having that top-down view, you're taking the guesswork out of things. So I speak English, I'm okay at French, and I speak Japanese. Those are the 3 things that I needed to study for my linguistics degree. So I'm somewhat used to reading from right to left and up to down. However, we are in Western America, or at least I'm based in Western America, and or Eastern America rather, and we read from left to right. And so when I see a split page, just the fact that I have to make the decision: do I read the left hand down first? Do I read the right hand down first? Do I go from left to right and then go down a little bit and then left to right? That's too much effort, and somebody is going to just pass on you outright. And that's, like I said, it's a fault of the industry mostly. But by changing these things up, if you do a top-down view, what order is best? Absolutely summary at the top, absolutely technical skills second. It really doesn't super matter after that. So if you don't have a lot of good technical experience, you have many, many years at Dell that will catch people's eye. I'd probably put experience next, and then I would put education at the very bottom. That would be my recommendation. Projects probably before experience or after experience. Gather your own data, A/B test yourself to see how your application interview ratio is based on those two individual factors. I love working. I see that my CSS formatted resume. I love working in Google Docs because all you have to do is hit File, make a copy, and now you can edit things instantaneously. So you can have it saved as, okay, this is experience first, this is projects first, and then you can A/B test that way. In terms of overall content, I love that you have your portfolio here. I love that you have a CSS formatted resume. Unfortunately, people may not actually read the details. This image didn't load for me. So if you just upload a PDF is king. All you have to do from a Google Doc to a PDF is hit File, Save as PDF. And then you can upload that wherever you want. PDF formats are really, really good. I would stick with the PDF format. I would upload that, and then people would be able to see just a brief overview, very unmagnified, of your resume, but they would be able to see that, oh yeah, that's a resume, in addition to it being titled resume. So that would be the main things that I would say. Other people's feedback also apply to you. Make sure that your cup of coffee isn't too weak, because right now this isn't going into anything related to web development. It's only talking about sales and more sales and retention specialist. So pick your battles, make sure that you are illustrating those things, start with a summary, and then check your portfolio. I did a Google Lighthouse audit here. And so you have some performance, accessibility, best practices. Again, the performance and best practices matter the most. Make sure that you can pass both of these things for desktop and mobile. Responsive design is a very popular buzzword. You should be able to include that on your resume. And if you know for a fact that you pass Google's analytics, like this is Google telling you that you need to work on these things, it's pretty much indirectly a write-off from Google saying that, yeah, this passes, this is good. So now you can include and have the confidence in your own work that this is responsive, this is accessible, this passes best practices according to Google standards, which essentially write the list of standards. So that would be my recommendations to you.
I want to point out one thing on Moses on the left and right. We actually did a test about 2 years ago now where we did the 2 columns. We had about 4 or 5 different versions that we tested out. What's really interesting is we tested out comparatively left column. If you did 2 column format, left column, right column, like left column with a big right column, and then switch it where the big column is on the left hand side and the little column is on the right hand side. What did better? The results were staggering or overwhelmingly in the favor of putting the little column on the right hand side. And the only reason we could figure this to be was physically people then didn't read it because of people reading left to right. They would read the summary experience and generally, just disregard the right hand side and just focus on the part and then get to the core content and, call somebody up, do an interview. But it was an overwhelming win, but it did not compare to just a simple 1-page, single column, properly formatting, summary, skills, experience, project, education. Like overall, we didn't even get close. That's why you see Johnny taking a strong approach against the 2 column. Is we've tested this out for years and never found, every time we come back and retest it, it's never once won. It's always come back to the ease of use for somebody right here, right now. And when you start splitting them up, that experience that they go through is a little more difficult. Now, don't get us wrong. It's not lost on us of if you're getting someone who's really invested and wants to know everything about you and they read the whole thing, they'll read it and it doesn't make a difference.
Mhm.
But the majority of people don't do that. To Johnny's point, 15 seconds is no joke. This year when I had to do a review for, I had a 500 job recs and I had to review I had 500 applications in one job rec. Um, I didn't spend more than 10 seconds on half of them because I just couldn't. It just wasn't, it was not feasible. So I know all too well from experience that there's not enough time spent.
Jason, could I interject real quick on two things?
Sure.
One, look at Amar. Amar has done all the things that we've asked in terms of the actionable items that we've given him. He's done his market analysis. He's made changes to his resume, and there are still he's still facing issues when it comes to the job hunt. That leads us to believe that this is a game of extreme measures. So when it comes to analyzing all these things, it seems irrelevant to worry about what's on the left hand or the right hand of the screen. Like that seems irrelevant. But if you look at the raw numbers and the raw data that people are collecting, you have to do all these things in a very, very methodical way in order to achieve ultimate success. And so there are things that you can turn on that increase efficiency by 2%, 5%. The industry average of number of applications submitted to one interview held is 50 to 1. So we're talking about an industry average of 2%. So everything that we can possibly do to increase that, that's what we're trying to do. So it seems like nitpicking, but it actually in the wash makes a big difference. And that's ultimately also why we're giving Amar the first student slot that we have in this next round of students, because we know that he's done all these things and he still needs more help, and we can't give away everything that we have. And so we want to give as much individual coaching that we possibly can. And that's what we're here for. So anyways.
So two things, Moses, I'll answer your question real quickly. Thoughts on a short summary. So what I said earlier, maybe you missed it. I'm just going to hit it again. 5 sentences in your summary. First sentence is a sentence that says, I'm a software engineer with a proven ability to do what 3 things. Get those from your job market analysis. Next 3 sentences are proving out the 3 things you just sold. One sentence is about, the first skill, the second skill, third skill, and then the last sentence is a career objective. Basically, what do you want to do? So if you two align, the hiring manager and you align, this short 5-sentence summary can really hit a home run for you. I brought up Dominic Cobb, not because we're reviewing him today. He's a previous student of ours, now in the industry. So when Johnny was talking about how to, you can put a PDF up, another way to get a really nice picture up is to do a LinkedIn post, put your URL there, and then put it on your featured profile. And LinkedIn will share it as a nice image, and someone can click it and go see it. Also becomes a post, so you get some easy views, engagement, really easy method. All right, so on to Jorge. Let's go back over here. All right, so Jorge, I'm going to go resume first. All right, lots here, Jorge. First and foremost, we got to get you back down to 1 page. I think already the font size is an easy way, but I actually think you have too many experiences on here. Way too many, because going back to 2009, there are ways, if we really want to talk about, there are ways for you to say, in right here, you had 2 previous jobs from 2009 to 2018 doing these things in two bullet points. If you want to keep that stuff around. At the same time, we could just chop it off. But you're putting easily 50% of the resume into things you do not want to do next. Right? Well, it's not to say you maybe don't want to be still a master instructor, but if you really want software engineering, you just sold half your resume as something else. Now, this right here would easily get you back to 1 page. Now, if we get you back to 1 page, I want some depth. I was just talking about the format, the summary format, but I want to know what are the 3 things you want people to know, because right now you're telling me you're a full stack web developer, and like I said, go search your title. I do not think this is a highly searched title, so you're not, when we think of search engine optimized. Also, consistency. You spell it differently up here, so make sure it's staying consistent. The word web developer, the 2 words web developer, is actually kind of a dying term from a sense of search engine optimization. A lot of people are going towards software engineer because people like engineer. And so we need more depth in here. I use React apps to develop responsive applications. Okay, great. Can you give me an example? Can you give me something that you've done because you've done some freelance work? Is there a client you've helped that did $10,000 of sales with your website? Is there something we can use to prove it? At the same time, okay, you created websites that are tailored to clients' needs. I would love a little more in depth here. Are we building sales pages? Are we building e-commerce sites? Are we building blogs? Like, what specifically are we doing? Because this helps me as a hiring manager understand, what would I be hiring you for? Is this something you've done with them that you can do for me? And so there's a lot more depth I would like in there. And if these are the projects, I would much prefer this. All right. And this goes for anyone in a similar situation. I would much prefer a project section. You can still have your General Assembly in the education section and talk about General Assembly in about 4 to 5 lines. But I would pull this all out into a project section. I'd have 3 projects, and in each project I have 5 bullet points. So let's say one of the projects is the MERN Stack project. I would give it a better name, more unique name. But I would have 5 bullet points. One probably on Mongo, one on Express, one on React, one on Node, and then maybe one on accessibility from Lighthouse. And that's for one project. And then I would go do it again for another project and do it again for another. So I'd have 3 projects, a total of 15 bullet points. Each one of them, generally you then find you have 3 React bullet points, 3 Node, 3 MERN. Like, you consistently will keep hitting home the value you drive in your projects and why someone should click and view it, which will help you a lot in getting closer to that software engineer you want. Comparatively, this stuff will not help as much. Some of it could, but in a deeper dive, we'd have to review that. But that's where I'm coming from. I went a little bit longer because this is my last one, and actually I'll end it right here. Don't real quickly, I learned this. The more times you get someone to click, when I was earlier in my career on the user experience team, you only get about 4 clicks per site per user. You just wasted 1 click on me right here, right now. So don't hit click to enter the site. Just bring them right into the site. Bring them right into what you want them to know and want them to see. I would bring this up a little bit higher because at the same time, the other thing I learned on user experience team earlier in my career is every time you make somebody scroll, you lose people as you scroll. 100% of the people will get right here when they get to this page, but you only get 90% to here, 70% to here. 50, and if there's more, actually, I would keep going, but more than likely, you're not getting everybody to scroll. So your call to actions, if you really want someone to go to your LinkedIn, you cannot have this to where I have to scroll down to get it. Do the Google Lighthouse as well, like Johnny said. And Johnny, the floor is all yours. That was my last one for the day.
All right. All right, Miss Megan. We're a thankful graduate and a teacher. 8th grade was my favorite grade to teach because there's so much growth that happens between 8th and 9th. So I appreciate and respect your dedication and education. One thing that I want to start this on, all of these tips and tricks help. Like I kind of already said before Jason started, this is a numbers game in a lot of senses. We need to chase what is most effective and do what is most efficient. And that way we can continue to go through our job hunt. One thing that will always make the most sense is networking. When it comes to handing somebody your resume, it's a lot harder to say no to somebody when it's been handed off by somebody that you know. So whether you believe in a difference in resume formats or resume content, networking will always be king. Knowing somebody will always be king. So referrals in that sense will always be king. And so all these tips help with the non-networking side as well as the networking side, because if you connect with somebody, the very first thing that I do when I connect with somebody on LinkedIn is check out their profile. If the very first thing that I see on their profile is their About Me section, probably going to read their About Me section to know who these people are. I'm going to look directly beneath that. If I see your resume and I care to look, I see your resume because it's already right there. So that is something that I wanted to say. That networking makes all of this way easier. And the best part about networking specifically is LinkedIn can be a passive job search platform for you. While you are actively submitting job applications somewhere else or on LinkedIn itself, your profile exists. So if your profile is set up in a searchable, easily discoverable way, now while you're actively doing something, you're passively receiving connections, you're passively receiving communication. Especially if you've got your profile set up like open to work and you're commenting on other people's things, so on and so forth. Megan, I would say the same thing that I said to Mr. Ramirez. I would say try to get to a top-down single column style format, just because you want to walk somebody through. There's a whole concept of a resume walk that you can do. Somebody could, in an interview, could say, "Hey, walk me through your resume," and that would basically be you highlighting the things that you want to highlight. Well, you can do that just by putting them in the right order, or because we read top down. Nobody starts bottom up unless they're crazy. So start with a summary and then go with I've never read anything bottom up. That's kind of weird. So start with your summary, then go to your technical skills, and then go into your education or your experience, whatever you would like. I definitely think that you can consolidate a lot of this into your summary, and I think you can highlight your projects a lot more. So these 2 individual baby bullet points may not be enough. And by may not be enough is they're not enough. Definitely look at getting into testing, because testing will set you apart. I see you have unit testing, but if you can describe how you've done that on a project to make sure that it's bug-free and it works as intended, all the better. So on your form, you put networking and lack of experience. That lack of experience will be largely taken care of by having good portfolio projects. Another way you can get around lack of experience is by doing open source contributions. It's the same thing that you would be doing at a real engineering company, is submitting code, having it evaluated by whoever's running the project, and then if your code gets accepted, it gets accepted. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And so open source can be a great, in addition to freelance, that can be a great way of getting experience and overcoming that lack of experience, right? On your LinkedIn profile, again, the whole, to think of it in a different way, there's noise and your voice. If you don't like the whole coffee analogy, noise is anything that doesn't contribute to the conversation of I am a software developer. So former teacher may be a little bit of noise. Passionately seeking new opportunities, that's great. When you talk about all this excellent experience as an educator, all of this is considered noise because it's not software engineering. It's not software development. So you talk about your thankful education very well. There's a whole section that you can add. So if I go to my own LinkedIn profile, I go to add section, accomplishments. There's a whole section where I can highlight my individual projects. So I can put my project name, I can put my description. And when it comes to just raw number of characters that you can talk about on your profile, now you have more chances for JavaScript, HTML, CSS, React, whatever your market dictates is highly desirable in your market. That's what you continue to put there. And so from a high level, just top down, change the format of your resume, work some more of this stuff into your summary. Your summary looks pretty good so far, but again, just make me care. Like, don't just say you have A, B, C. Show me how you've exemplified A, B, and C over your 7 years of experience as a public school teacher, right? Yes. Once this webinar ends, the recording will buffer, and then I will hit publish, and it will go to all of your email. I think that is it from me.
All right. So I said I would do it real quickly because I think I can. Can you confirm the message? Ricardo said, you mentioned in the registration email that if you received many submissions, there would be a part 2 of the review. Can you confirm you received my Google form? So we're going to try to get to them all. Ricardo had more submissions. We had more than we had a lot. We're going to try to get to it, Ricardo. But we will definitely, you'll hear something from us over the upcoming days. So I'm going to try to record. I'm going to review these 2 real quickly, and then we're going to. I realize even though we said we section off 25 minutes for AMA, it just is not going to happen. What we'll probably have to do is come back live soon before Christmas and cover a couple more things. But I said real quickly, I think we can do this real quick, like Joshua and Stephen. Let's cover this real quickly. So Joshua, I was reviewing yours real quick, and my first thought is, what do you want? Are you looking more for the front end engineering role, or you really want to be a content creator? And I say that because as I was going through stuff, I noticed your posts were all content creator focused. At the same time, it's a mixture of going for the job, but yet content. So like, where are you at? And if you want to go the content creator route, you need to get more followers. I see you follow Danny, engage with his stuff. That's great. I see you engage with our stuff too. Keep engaging with us as well too. Appreciate that. But you have to follow more people, and you have to be following the people that in like the people who talk constantly that you see in your thread. Go communicate with them. Get a list of 10 to 20 people a day that you're constantly talking to and engaging with to help start growing your audience if that's what you're wanting to do. I want to see a little more of a concise summary for you here. Now, with the LinkedIn About, you can always, in the LinkedIn About section, this is not your resume, so you don't have to do just the 5 sentences. You can be a little more, you can expand on a couple more personal topics if you want to and talk about other things like your goals and knowledge and stuff. But I don't have a concise starting point. There's a quote, I could use a little more there. When I come down to your project section, though, I want a little bit more here because, like, just saying a personal portfolio showcase, creating these things, like, I want more depth. I see you've got links. This is great, but give me that depth. Remember, I was talking about before 5 bullet points per each project, X, Y, and Z, top skills. So I want more. At the same time, your skills endorsement, you should have your top 3 skills right here. I don't think HTML, responsive design, SEO is going to be it. It's probably going to be like a database, a language, and then maybe some type of library. If you can get some more recommendations given, that'd be huge. Moving on to Stephen. All right. So does the dash help you out? At the same time, Stephen, pay attention to when you go search. I won't do it. Just switch it out for engineer and see if engineer versus developer makes a difference for you. Let's continue on down. So have you done any freelance work? I would like to get high school off there because this generally shows up with just the last thing you've done. So switch this out for even if you just make a personal company and call it yourself and say you freelance through your own company. Anything to get the high school part off because the perception is then maybe you need to be going to college or maybe like if you're looking for the job, the word high school is going to throw people off.
Especially if you have the dates there. I'm sorry to interrupt, but when you say graduate in 2021, I know you're 19. Like they say that ageism isn't a thing, but I would talk with you very differently because I know that you're 19 and not that you're like 25 or 30 years old. That's just the way things work.
Yeah, it's sad. And I wish we didn't have to say this is the way things work. We've physically seen with people in their teens still having a much, much harder path to getting the job to start because people treat, as much as I'd love to say, like I said, like we wish this wasn't a thing, but people treat people who are young and older, very much older, much older in their 60s and 50s, a bit differently, as well as people in their teens differently as well. When you get into the 20s, for some odd reason, people stop caring about age for whatever known reason. But let's see here. So continuing on down, I would love a little more. This goes into updating your about summary, those 5 sentences, because I don't have proof here. I have you listing off a ton of things. At the same time, I like that you have the pictures here. This looks good. Does your profile have a go to Readme? Great. 4.5, that's nice. Front end and HTML probably are not your top skills. Here, I'll do this for the both of you. I'll go back and hit that. Actually, it would be interesting, Johnny, if we did something. Tell me all in the chat if this would be interesting, y'all. If people submitted everything and we endorsed stuff after reviewing it, if we thought it was up to par, would people be interested in us doing a larger review and giving endorsements on if we like it? Let's see here. So, Stephen, I want a project section for you. I need a little more. I need to be able to show people. I think that's the one thing I'm missing is I know here with this, you have the portfolio and lots of some things listed here, but I don't see any of these projects right here anywhere else. And so I'm missing some depth there in other areas, the resume, the LinkedIn, but you have it on the portfolio site. Last thing I'll say, and then we'll probably take 1 or 2 questions and wrap it up. For those who don't know, this is a setting people also viewed. It's like you're a car salesman and you're selling someone else's car for free. This is a setting in LinkedIn that you can turn off. This lets LinkedIn, because LinkedIn knows if they sell someone who, if they tell other people who've been here who else to go look at, because this is where other people have been going to look, they know recruiters will navigate until they find someone they like. But you don't want that. You want them staying here. Now, you can't get rid of the people you may know because LinkedIn forces you to have that, but this one they don't. So you can turn it off. It's a setting inside of your LinkedIn to turn it off so you don't sell other people that other people go look at. Let's see here. That's going to do it for the reviews today. I haven't been reviewing comments. Johnny, is there any like quick questions you see? I'll come back and look myself here in a second. Are there any quick questions? Does anyone have any questions? We're probably going to get, as I say this, and I realize there's a delay. Does anyone have any questions? We might not be able to answer them all, but we'll try to pick out a couple, and we'll go from there because we have a hard stop here in about 10 minutes.
Michael, like I said, the experience that you have, all you have to do is articulate that you can do the job. That's really what it is. There are a series of checkpoints that you have to get through in order to prove ultimately that you have that ability. First one is beating the application tracking system. You do that by matching your market analysis to your resume and vice versa. The second checkpoint is getting your resume seen by a human being and a human being going, oh, okay, I think this person warrants a conversation. You do that by having a comprehensive summary and, again, throwing in more keywords and having good projects. If you have a good project that's not a copy and paste repository, it doesn't matter if you're self-taught, it doesn't matter if you went through a boot camp, it doesn't matter if you have a year's worth of experience. People are going to fixate on the year's worth of experience, of course. But if you say that you know HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, and I see a really well done website that you have built, like with React. If you want to be a web developer and you have your own portfolio site built in React, it's responsive, it's dynamic, it's visually aesthetic, and it hosts other projects that are equally as high quality. That's what we care about. That's what we want to see. That's how you can talk about that on your resume. Your resume should really instill confidence in the abilities that you have, but also direct somebody to confirm their own biases and their own misunderstanding. So if they say, oh, bootcamp graduate, but then they go and see your project and they're just blown away, that's what you want. You want to blow them away with your project. And basic Hangman apps, basic like national parks API versus Google Maps API, those projects aren't cutting it. So you need to make something that actually somebody would use. You need to solve your own problem. My absolute favorite project that somebody worked on, he was a sickle cell anemia patient. And he made his own med store and workout app to track his medications, as well as to make a library of the physical exercises that he could do because he was very, very limited in his ability. He connected with the outside world through mobile devices. And so he made that on mobile first. And so he could talk about mobile first development. He could talk about a thing that he actually used. It solved his own problem. And so you don't need to reinvent the industry or reinvent the wheel. You just have to sell somebody what you know they're buying. And by looking at the job description, they're literally telling you what they're buying. That's the whole concept of a job description. That you can summarize every single job that you could do as creating something, maintaining something, improving something, or deleting something. If you create a project that solves your problem, you maintain it over time as things update, and you add new features, that's improvement, and you don't accidentally delete it, because I do that shit all the time. It's really, really bad. That's the industry. That's the job. So it doesn't matter if you have experience or not. It's whether you can actually do the thing. If you're applying to bake a cake at a cake bakery, they're not going to be like, oh, hey, you bake cakes, yeah? You're like, yeah, I've baked cakes before. Show them a cake that you baked. Have them eat a cake that you baked. That's the same concept that we're doing here.
All right, so I want to jump in here and add two quick things. I added a video. So I did a video on this to take a full stack clone and add about, I think there's 10 examples in there, things you can add. I'll tell you this really quick story that adds on top of this. And Jacob, actually, I saw your questions in Q&A, but now I see it there. Thank you. But there's one quick story that got me. It was really good. I was reading a resume once that said on it they had like optimized for 100,000 users. They had cut load times of their app down by 65%. They had cut the code size down to like 10 or not kilobytes. It was like half a megabyte or so, and it said it did all these things. And I'm sitting there going, "Oh my god, this must have been an amazing production app." No, what it was they built the app first, did it the best way they knew how that they were taught. They then went and they used artillery. It's an npm package, and they did performance testing against their app in its current state. Then they went back and optimized it from their mentors through different guides and whatnot, and they were able to cut all this stuff down. And then they were able to run a performance test on it again and send 100,000 users at the site, because that's what the package artillery can do in npm. And they were able to show, oh, we saved this much time, we did this. And it was nothing more than a project that anyone else could do. Hell, you could go do it to your project now, run artillery, see how bad the stats are, go make some updates and modifications, rerun it, display it on your LinkedIn or your resume as, I did this. That got me and my whole team like, oh my god, this sounds crazy. We got that person in there in the conversation. It was like, oh, this is just a project? Wow, that was good. That was a very clever way to sell. And so I put some of those examples in that YouTube video I sent to you.
The quantifiable data that you can put in your resume of 100,000 user test has been passed. It's awesome.
Jacob, think that's awesome. If you wouldn't use it, change it. Fair enough. I think that's fair. If you have 3 other projects, yeah, just skip on that one. I will end us here, Johnny. Unless, do you want to say something before I end it? Because I got 2 things to share. One thing to share. Do you have anything you want to say before I end it?
No, sir. I'm good to go.
All right, sounds good. All right, I'm going to put in, if y'all are interested, this is how we keep. This is how Coding Career Fastlane operates. This is what we do. This is the business of Coding Career Fastlane. It is the accelerated job hunt. We are opening registrations and applications. You'll see it on this page if you scroll down. If this is something that intrigues you and you would like our help for one-on-one coaching, with content, with negotiations, with anything you possibly need in the job hunt, and you're intrigued by potentially working with us, we encourage you to go check out the Accelerated Job Hunt. I'll put it on Restream and all the social platforms and on Big Marker. Sit down, have a conversation with us, see if this is something that is interesting or intriguing for you to help you get the job faster in the new year. That's going to do it for us today. We appreciate all of y'all sticking around to work with us. Amar, we're excited to get working with you. And to everyone else watching on other platforms, if you didn't get it already, you'll see it in the comments up above. The December AMA Live, if you want the download with the Notion that has a list of all the links and a lot of the general topics we talked about, even a couple other things. I think we put the interview cheat sheet in there, and the DICE platform, how we answer questions technically. We put some other stuff in there, stuff for y'all to check out. That's going to do it for us. We believe you'll see us again before Christmas. We think early next week we're going to do something. It's not going to be as planned. Well, we'll figure it out. We'll let you know. We believe you're going to see us again, but easily in the next 2 weeks, you will definitely be hearing from us again. Have a great rest of your day. And if we don't see you before the holidays, happy holidays, and hope to hear from y'all soon.
Take care, guys.
Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for coming.
And hit end stream on all